Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about Bloodseeker. I think Bloodseeker might be the best carry for pubs right now. Its win rate certainly shows that. I think in the pro scene, it's not exactly that. The main reason why is I think the hero's laning stage in early game is pretty punishable. I do believe that this hero might be the best late game hero in the game, and you guys know what I think. I mean, at least if you've been watching the channel, heroes that scale into the late game will do well. Will have good win rate, especially tanky heroes. Heroes that are naturally survivable always have better win rate. Okay, almost always. Look at heroes like Abaddon and Wraith King. They tend to be at the top of the chart due to their ease of play and their natural tankiness. And I think Bloodseeker is not really an exception to this. So, okay, let's get into it. We're going to be watching Smiling Knight, who's one of the best European carries in the world, currently ranked 170, but this guy's been doing super well in all of the European qualifiers. And yeah, let's get into it. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. So at level 1, you take Blood Right. If you watched my video yesterday, you probably know most of my takes on this hero, but I wanted to cover the gameplay more so today. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, I go over 2 of the top builds for each role. Either way, the W in lane does one thing, really. It can be used as a follow-up to a stun. So if you're laning with a Lion or a Crystal Maiden, it can be used for damage to help your support trade, but generally just use it for the range creep, right? So situations like this can be good, right? Just trying to zone this tiny out the range creep. You just have to learn how much damage it does, right? It's 115, quite high for a level 1 nuke. And that's how you're going to secure range creeps on this hero. Another thing to note, your innate is what heals you. So if you get a deny or a last hit, you heal. And so essentially it's important to just be hyper-focused on last hits and denies on this hero. You don't really have that much early pressure. Even if you get high movement speed, I mean, hero isn't terrible. It has decent damage, and most importantly, extremely good base armor at 6 to 7. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not like this hero is beyond useless in the lane, but ever since they made it where you just don't heal a lot, like they made it where the thirst isn't the healing ability, the hero's laning just isn't that good. And so the main objective for him in this lane is just pull a lot of aggro. If you watch closely, I mean, as you can see, Blood Right, oh wow, that actually hit the line. That was, whew. Usually Blood Right and casually like this doesn't really work, but I guess the Lion was just barely slow enough. And does it result in a kill? And it does. Okay, so it works out. So yeah, I mean, I would say in most lanes, you're not going to get a lot of kills as Bloodseeker unless people mess up. It's definitely possible. At the end of the day, you sustain and most heroes don't. So if you're not getting pressured very hard, Bloodseeker should be able to out-sustain heroes. However, good players will pressure you a lot, especially because your range creep secure is slow and delayed and can be manipulated with creep aggro. In terms of items, he actually rushes treads, and I want to get into the second item as well, which is raindrops. I've been advocating this item like crazy on this channel, and the reason why is, well, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, on Bloodseeker, this hero desperately, and I mean desperately, needs to use Blood Right as much as possible. Otherwise, you just don't farm that fast, and you can't really fight back. It's also your way of pushing out waves. But yeah, getting into his items, I think it's really important that you have these raindrops, right? And you'll see it in clips like this, where Bloodseeker, his main flaw, similar to heroes like actually Drow Ranger, is that you're just squishy. You don't have that much health, and you don't want to buy things like Bracer. Even though Bracer actually kind of makes sense on this hero because right, you heal for a percentage of your max health. So maybe Bracer Bloodseeker isn't that bad. Either way, getting back to the point, you'll notice in clips like this, it's just nice to have this bonus health. And again, Bloodseeker just kind of lacks mana regen. He lacks mana. Yes, you only have one spell you're really casting, but still, you want to use it as much as possible, and you don't jungle quickly at all, and so you need to buy the items that allow you to sit in the lane for as long as possible, that being raindrops, right? If you are greeding out on your items, you're going to get kicked out of lane. Now, also, most people go phase boots. I think, honestly, I'm on edge about it. I think maybe treads are better just because you can switch to strength treads and you're already fast due to the fact that you have thirst. I mean, on top of that, look at his skill build. It's clearly designed for treads. He's not taking a point in Blood Rage at 4, which is what almost everyone does. In fact, he doesn't take a point in it until level 8, which is kind of crazy, right? But it does kill you. This ability does literally kill you. As you see him go for a kill here. So, I mean, I kind of get it, right? And the E does scale well. It goes from 10% max movement speed to 20, right? The E just gives you movement speed when people are low on health. The next thing he did that was cheeky, I mean, I don't know how he gets away with this. That's so nice, because this hero, Bloodseeker, is a very level-dependent hero. You want very high levels on this hero because he has broken talents, and his Q, you don't want it in the early game, but you do want it maxed in the mid-game to farm. But okay, finishing off things with items, look, very non-greedy, and I like this a lot. He's got his treads, wand, null, raindrops, items that allow him to sit in the lane. right, for as long as possible. On top of that, the next thing you want to do when you hit Rupture is call for stuns. Nothing has really changed with Bloodseeker in forever in terms of like how you kill people. If you're against Bloodseeker, you should try to TP out. If you're playing Bloodseeker, you should be calling for heroes like the Batrider or the Earth Spirit to come to your lane and help you kill people with Rupture. In terms of farming, you're going to notice that he's just spamming Bloodseeker off cooldown. I mean, that is how you play the hero. He goes for a gate play here, which was actually pretty nice. They caught Miracle, and they were able to take down the TA, so that was a really, really nice rotation. And kind of another thing that's also nice about Bloodseeker now is this facet. It has pretty good win rate, and basically when you attack heroes that are ruptured, you push them. And this is awesome because most of the time in the early game, if you're fighting someone who's ruptured, they're just going to ignore you. But this obviously forces them to move, and it's really good, right? It is nice, even though you might be thinking, oh, but it limits how much I can auto-attack them. Yeah, but the damage does pay off. It is quite good to push people during Rupture. So yeah, for skill build, he's going 042. I think if you go Treads, this is the way to go. If you go Phase Boots, you should probably have a point in Q because you're going to have damage, not attack speed. So that is what you need to consider. And then yeah, I mean, best case scenario, you kind of sit in your lane for as long as possible. He's going for a very active gameplay style here. But you'll notice, without Rupture, this hero just isn't that good. I mean, this ability is jukeable. It's just sidesteppable unless you're pairing it with stuns, and he really didn't get anything out of that. So this rotation was definitely bad. I think it was probably too much, right? He lost out on quite a bit of farm, because the main thing you want to do to farm is drag these two camps together. You just rinse, repeat off cooldown. You just continuously drag them together, over and over again, and then you push out the wave. And this is the main gameplay of the hero. You don't want to take Ancients. Nice Rupture here into the Bloodseeker, TP in on the Earth Spirit. As I said, that's the combo. Bloodseeker plus stuns. And then you're chilling. So the next thing you want to do is generally safely farm a Radiance. I mean, honestly, he is way more active than I'm used to. Because honestly, this hero just isn't that good at it. It's okay, but it's not that good. And you'll see in this clip here why you have to be careful. He has max HP items, a Lotus, a 20 wand, raindrops, jelly, and he still almost just gets bursted. In fact, he does. And so I would typically not really recommend showing up to these fights. I'm kind of anti sort of how he's playing to some extent. I think it's a little bit too active. But the only reason I do like the gate plays on this hero is because it stops you from getting ganked. It's really easy to get ganked as Bloodseeker, and so making the first move is a good way to avoid that, and I believe that's his mentality. Okay, so you're going to skip your 10 talent until, I guess, level 13, maybe even 12 at this point, which is pretty standard, as, again, this guy is so active. He clearly, there's a lot of different styles of player, right? And you can kind of tailor your gameplay to what you'd like to do or what you think is good in the game. But Smiling Knight is a very active player. I mean, he is constantly looking to connect, get active, and make moves as he finds a Rupture onto the Lion. And now he's got his Radiance. And why is Radiance so good on this hero? It really comes down to the fact that, number one, the evasion is great as the game progresses. Number two, you get 55 damage, which is incredible with 150 attack speed from Blood Rage. But most importantly, the 60 magic damage per second is amped by 45% when you take your 10 talent. And so your Radiance, instead of dealing 60 damage, does around 85 damage, which is incredible, right? It's a huge amp for farming and just, well, fighting. And so once you have Radiance, you farm really, really fast, and you'll never run out of health because you're killing so many creeps so quickly. You can also show up at this point of the game. You're reasonably tanky, and again, it's why I love his items. In fact, look at his neutral item. Most of the neutral items you take on Bloodseeker, in fact, I would say all of them, should be items that sustain you or keep you alive, because all you need to do as Bloodseeker to do damage is to exist, right? Because of Thirst, and because of Radiance, and because of your Q. Your Q is one of the highest DPS abilities in the game, like what it does for DPS in the game. So you just need to stay alive. It's also why his first item is a point booster, clearly, again, angling to fight. I think maybe it should be Ogre Axe because it gives more health than Point Booster by a little bit. But, you know, it's something else we can debate. Okay, so eventually you're going to get your Ags, and this is kind of the main timing for the hero. I would say Cloak is even better. This is like the main timing for the hero that I really love. But yeah, let's talk about a couple things. So at level 15, you one-shot creep waves. Bloodseeker does that much damage. It's a 475 damage Duke with a 45% amp. And so this ability is just like a 700 damage nuke, AoE nuke, which is crazy. It's really, really crazy. I mean, that is so high. Also, let's talk about the axe. If you don't understand it, it does 7% HP and damage to Bloodseeker and the heroes around him. So it does kill you. It's essentially Pudge Rot. You can think of this ability as Rot, okay? It really is Rot. I mean, in the same way that when you buy Cloak, it makes you deal less damage to yourself. The only thing you really need to understand that's weird is if you're full HP and you kill things with the Ags on, it will give you a shield. And that is why the Cloak is so good. The Cloak makes the shield tick down slower, right? Because the Blood Mist is dealing less damage to you. And so essentially the main idea here that he's going for is going to be an Eternal Shroud so that he can build up a barrier while farming and then show up to the fight with 3 to 4k effective HP. And it gets pretty insane. And you'll kind of see here why the impact of Bloodseeker in the mid to late game is so incredible. Yeah, you one-shot waves. I mean, this is just insane. Look at this. Bap. Okay, it doesn't kill flag bearers, which does suck. But you farm ridiculously fast. He's level 18 now, right? Super high level, higher level than a TA, which is hard to do, right? That hero farms ridiculously fast, almost to his Eternal Shroud. And look at this barrier. He's got 3k effective HP. And this is without Eternal Shroud, right? This item makes it way better. Eternal Shroud puts you up to 2,600 HP and keeps that barrier going for longer, so you can have almost 4,000 health. And we're gonna see his first main fight of the game at minute 28. And honestly, guys, the longer you can prolong the game, the better. This hero just hits nasty timing after nasty timing. At level 20, you get Spell Lifesteal, and at 25, you get Rupture Charges, and every single item timing is impactful. Like, being 4-slotted and 5-slotted just feels great on this hero. So Miracle on the TA messed up here, overextended, and look at this damage that you deal. Your auto attacks hit really hard, and this magic damage, it just burns. The TA ends up going down here, as I said, kind of overextended, and look, he's just eating a Sunray. I mean, he's chilling, and the main reason for that is this Eternal Shroud is so good this game. It counters Puck, counters Tiny, Lion, Phoenix. It's not good against TA, of course, but honestly, that's kind of the nice thing about Radiance. It gives you 20% evasion, up to 35% evasion if the enemy isn't BKB'd, which is really, really great. And you'll notice here, he can just start to run in. Because of this Eternal Shroud, there's really nothing he has to be afraid of. The Blood Mist and the Radiance starting to cook down the Tiny, and you'll kind of see, I'm playing this in slow motion, but Tiny's health is just ticking and ticking and ticking. Because it's percentage-based damage. So as people scale up, as their health scales, this build just does not fall off, right? It scales into every stage of the game because it is percentage-based and because it gets amped by the Qs so significantly. So yeah, it really is just that good at this point of the game. For his next item, he's going to be picking up Sanjanyasha, kind of just sticking on the line of being tanky. All you need to do is be tanky. He even has Strength Vambrace, more magic resistance to keep that barrier going. In this team fight, he has 3k HP and an 800 barrier, right? 3,800 health with resistances and evasion. He gets the Rupture on the TA. A lot of damage. Spell Lifesteal now as well, so look at his health. It's not even ticking down. Okay, sorry, he has the barrier. It is definitely ticking down. But after you get the kill, right, and kills give you even more heals than creep, way more heals. He's just up to this crazy barrier, 1,200 barrier in this team fight. And again, another team fight here coming up. As the Sanjanyasha kicks in, they're going to take a Roche fight here. They smoke out. Doesn't have a big barrier in this fight, so has to be a tad more careful, but can one-shot the wave. Oh my, dude, that gave him like 600 barrier. That is crazy. Rupture onto the TA, just chomps her alive. And it's actually funny, he'll have a mildly hard time killing this Lion after Lion clicks Ghost Scepter. Oh, no, he got stunned. Never mind. I was just going to say that, like, the Blood Mist, it's not that good at killing squishy heroes, because it kills them at the same rate as it kills tanky heroes. But you'll see when he goes on Tiny here, as he starts to get on top of him, I mean, this Blood Mist just ticks and ticks and ticks. It's, like, so good against these heroes like Tiny and Centaur. It just eats them alive. Now, a couple of other things I'd like to mention. So, in a lot of games, BKB is a necessity in the late game, just so you can actually hit people. And that's why he buys it here. But it's also kind of the reason why I think sometimes Bloodstone is better in this case. Bloodstone obviously has natural synergy with this hero. The W heals you, Rupture heals you, Blood Mist, Radiance, and it's all amped. And really a big thing about Bloodstone for me as well is the fact that it gives you a mana pool, so you can eventually buy Refresher when you hit level 25, and you'll actually have a mana pool big enough to sustain 4 Ruptures, right? Because at level 25, you get Rupture Charges, which is one of the best talents in the game. I mean, it is absurdly good as they kill off the Puck. But yeah, I mean, it's just another thing that makes this hero scale into the late game, which is even if you're struggling to man fight, at some point in the game, you can just rupture 4 targets or rupture the carry twice, you know? And that is hyper valuable, but it's a little hard to sustain this if you don't have a mana neutral item or you don't have a mana item. Like the only thing that makes it possible with his build is that he has Eternal Shroud, which kind of makes up for it. And I think that's probably his idea that, I mean, the enemy team has so much magic damage that he'll probably actually get enough mana back to use the refresher. And I think that's probably true, as he probably should buy it. He has 10k gold. 600 last hits. It's crazy at minute 50. Sure, I mean, he's probably higher than TA, yeah. Has 2 Rupture charges almost back up. Rupture, pretty low cooldown ability at 65 seconds. As goes for the lasso on Eki, doesn't find it. They're just poking. Gets this refresher. And the nice thing about refresher as well at some point is that it gives you double BKB as well. Because as I was saying, it's kind of hard in the late game to hit anyone with without 2 BKBs. And usually the enemy carry will get strong enough to like threaten you a bit. And so it's nice to kind of have that BKB to kite in and out. And I think skipping it completely is generally a mistake. Like going Sanchin Yashin to Bloodstone, while it can be good if you're just like hyper owning, is definitely risky in even more even games where you're skipping a BKB. Okay, so eventually they find their opening, and at this point in the game, you can kind of just rupture anyone. He thought about rupturing the line, didn't find it, which is fine. But yeah, you should just rupture the first person you see. You can be annoying. I mean, you have 4 charges at the end of the day. It's like right here, I would love to see him just kind of rupture up. Okay, so he ruptures the tiny, and I would have loved to see him rupture the TA. I don't really know why he didn't. I assume the Lincoln's is on cooldown at this point, yeah, so probably a bit of a misplay because, I mean, it's really valuable to rupture this guy. It would completely keep him in place and really damage him if he blinks out. So perhaps a bit of a mistake, as, again, probably should rupture him. I don't know why he's holding it. And maybe it's a bit of a mistake. Maybe he's, I don't know, just forgetting that he has the both. But that is kind of the value of this hero. Just being able to rupture 4 heroes is just crazy. Crazy. But yeah, it's going to be all for Bloodseeker. This hero just scales like a beast. Don't expect to have a dominant early game. It's just not the reality of the hero. Be patient, let the game progress. Even if things are going poorly, you can turn around the game on this hero. It has nasty timings. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.